This just in, we've got rad stuff. Welcome back to the Better Music channel, guys. I'm Jason, this is Tompa, and Tompa, what are we talking about today?
Today we're talking about the IR-2 from Boss, which is the little brother to the IR-200, and I'm very excited about it.
And I are interested.
So an IR is, in the typical sense, is a cab or impulse response. But this is not just cab loading, but it has amp models as well. So it has 11 different amp models, all from the IR-200, but it now including the brown channel, which is from the Katana, and the first time we've seen the brown channel on a unit other than a Katana. So the IR-2 has 11 different amp models with an input channel select. So it actually has two different channels. So you can have a clean and a high gain sound, or two clean sounds with a boost. So you can change both channels with the foot switch, or you can hold it down to turn the unit off. You can also use something like an MS3 or a Boss foot switch to control the channel select on the side. We've got stereo outs for the effects loop. Why this is really cool, you've got headphones on the top. So if you use this as a kind of a practice tool, having stereo outs and a send and return, you can run your reverbs and delays into the unit and you can actually hear it through the headphones. And then it's got a USB-C on the side.
Could I have the headphones plugged in? Could I just have my guitar? Can I just use it on my desk as like a practice? Can I set up my patches without running out to an amp?
Yeah, so this replaces your whole amp setup. So if you were just playing at home, like you could just use this pedal by itself and it's having a 2-channel amp just on your desk. Where this is really cool, I think, compared to other cab and amp modelers, is that it actually goes into the high gain territory. A lot of other ones will have like your kind of Fender model, your Vox model, and your like Plexi Marshall, but the Marshall never gets to like a high gain kind of setting. Whereas you've got like, I think 5 different high gain kind of options with this, which is really, really cool. But you don't have to have just like a clean and high gain. You can have a clean and a solo boost or something like that.
So I could have one channel being like Eric Clapton and click it again to go to Metallica.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
The main use case for these kinds of pedals is a pedal platform kind of, so you've got your overdrives and a couple of delays and you don't want to lug your amp with you when you're performing. You can just have this at the end or in the middle of your chain, and it'll give you direct kind of sounds with headphones or through like a wedge or in-ear models. Yeah, very, very useful.
So you had a bit of a play with this before. How did you think it sounded? What are your initial thoughts?
It sounded really, really good. A lot of these other kind of units, they give you way too many functions and way too many, like you can load 128 different cabs on there, but I don't like, me personally using modelers, I never kind of use that many cabs. I'll have 1 or 2 cabs that I like and I'll stick to that the whole time. So this is why this makes it really, really easy to use. Like you don't have to get lost in the weeds looking at cabs. There's a 3-band EQ. There's an ambience control, which gives you a bit of reverb, especially on those kind of clean sounds. Yeah, I really, really like it.
So I guess with this, right? So, you know, I'm a pretty basic guy. I got a multi-effects unit, you know, or I go straight guitar to amp, and IRs traditionally freak me out because everything looks complicated. There's so many like things. Like, how is it more? How can you simplify it?
So each of the amp models actually has its own Celestion IR built in. So with the cleaner kind of things, you've got 112 open backs, and then when you go into the high gain kind of Marshall and other kind of sounds, it's 412 close backs. So you don't have to kind of, I've spent hours and hours going through hundreds of IRs trying to find the ones that I like. Boss have already done all that work for you. They've found really good Celestion IRs that go with the amps, so you don't have to muck around with that kind of stuff. So you can actually load your own IRs. That if you've been using IRs before, you can load them on each of the amp settings and that'll be saved on there. So you don't have to, you're not stuck with the Celestion ones. If you have a special one that you use all the time, you can load that onto your favorite amp and then you've got a portable rig.
So I can use it basically, or I can choose my own amp and cab and speaker and do all that stuff, is what you're telling me.
Yes.
So I've got 2 selectable channels. How does that work if I wanted to save one and I click it? Do I need to reset it every time?
All you need to do is basically get your EQ, gain control and your amp settings and then change the channel and it automatically saves. So you don't have to hold a save button. You don't have to, like, when you turn it on, it's got like a different kind of save channel. You just go between the 2 channels and it'll save the settings.
Also, it always just goes to the A and B. So if I change it, I click,
Yep.
change back, it's right where I left it.
Exactly.
How would this chain in with, you know, because I use a multi-effects, I've got a couple of different multi-effects boards. How would I use this, you know, I guess because I use it at home and I do some live stuff, how would I add this to my multi-effects? Do I need to run out to my amp still, or what do I do?
So if you had a multi-effects like a HX Effects or MS3 that doesn't actually have amp or cab capabilities, you can put this at the end of the chain and then you've got all your effects in the MS3 or HX Effects going into this, and that's like a full portable rig. You don't have to upgrade to like the more expensive modelers. Same thing with people that just have a couple of pedals. They don't have to buy multi-effects to be able to use amps and cabs anymore. They can just buy this pedal and put it at the end of their chain and they've got a full portable rig.
That's pretty excellent. I like that. I think I'm just gonna, you don't need this one, right?
In our experience, when we're selling pedals down in the guitar section, I run into a lot of customers that want headphone silent rigs, or that are doing kind of pub gigs that they're doing half acoustic, half electric, or like there's just so many people that are wanting a direct solution these days. Having headphones out of the unit itself, surprisingly, some of these like cab and amp modelers actually don't have a headphone unit, which I find just takes away a lot of the flexibility of the unit itself. So having this built in is great. For a lot of people like doing like pub gigs that are doing half electric, half acoustic, most of the time they have to buy something that's like ridiculously, like say $800 to $1,000 to get this kind of functionality. And they're always like, oh, but I only do electric for like 2 songs out of the set. But I'm like, well, that's the only option. Like there's nothing else that can do it. So having something that's this portable, also being battery powered, just like all the other Boss kind of pedals, just makes it extremely portable. You don't have to break the bank paying for a really big unit. And yeah.
So we got amps and cabs, and we've got all this functionality here. Can we break it down and use just the components we want? You know, maybe I've already got some stage stuff. Maybe I don't really want to use the amp, but I just want to use the Celestion mods.
So this is like a preamp pedal. So you can turn off the cabs or you can turn off the amps as well. So in like say a scenario, if you just wanted to use the preamp part, you can run this through the return of your amp and then run it through your cab. And it's just like having 11 different amps that you can run into as a preamp. Or you can do the opposite and turn off the amps and just use this as a cab loader. Where that's really cool is something like I've got a power station, which is a high-end kind of attenuator, but it doesn't actually have cab capabilities. So it's got a line out, but I'd still have to load a cabinet impulse or IR onto the end. So either I have to do that through a computer or some other kind of loader. You could use this just as a cab loader as well. So in a live scenario, you have your amp going into your attenuator, you have this going from the line out, and that goes direct to front of house or into your wedge, and then going into your cab.
So we actually had a lot of inquiries for preamp pedals. What do you think makes this stand out from some of the ones that are in the market at the moment?
So you could use you could turn off the amp models on this and just running your preamp pedals into this. There's very few preamp pedals that have both cabinet capability and amp capability, and being able to switch either of those off without just getting to that $1,000 price point. Yeah, so we've got like the Soldano pedals that you could run it into. You could turn the amps off of this and just use this as a cabinet loader. The same way you'd run any of those preamp pedals into the effects return of your amp, and just use the power amp section and run it into a cab.
Are we wrapped for today? I think we're wrapped. I'm pretty excited.
No, it's very, very exciting. You would have heard Hero do some amazing playing on this, and I think we're going to sell lots and lots of these units. Thank you very much to Roland Boss Australia, and thank you, Jason.
Thank you, Tompa. Catch you next time.